Hey everybody!
Hi, he said in a cautious and slightly optimistic tone, hoping that the video which he was about to watch would not be amazingly and mind-bogglingly stupid for once.
Let's talk about microaggressions.
And his fragile hopes and dreams were once again extinguished as the briefest of candles, while his faith in humanity slides yet one step further down. Okay, let's do this.
I think we're a little bit confused as to what microaggressions actually are. Look at the word, microaggressions. Micro, small, aggressions, racial aggression.
Whoa there, Tex. You're getting way too technical and complicated for me. Can you dumb it down a bit?
So small acts of racial aggression.
Aggressions automatically equal racial aggressions? You're right. I'm confused, because if one's talking specifically about racial aggressions, then presumably one would actually say something like micro-racial aggressions, so that people would understand what you were saying. Unless, of course, you were being intentionally obtuse in order to give yourself wiggle room when you get called out when you get called out on what you get upset over. And judging by the huge dislike ratio of your video, I'm willing to bet that happens a lot. But do go on.
It's not blatant racism. Blatant racism would be if I went to a potential employer and they said, sorry, we don't hire black people. That would be blatant racism. But we're talking about the smaller things that we do every day that keep institutionalized racism.
That sounds like it's a very subjective thing. Perhaps to give you that wiggle room I was talking about before. Are you sure this isn't just the cancerous woodpecker poking around in your head as usual? I mean, it seems to me that there's a lot of room for personal bias and projection in here. I'm just saying.
I'm going. This is called an alien in your own land microaggression, and it is probably one of the most common. The big problem with this one, what are you? Human? I am not a what. No one is a what.
Well, yes, that's because what is an interrogative pronoun. In other words, it is only useful in reference to a noun. Specifically, it is used to ask questions about a noun, so yes, you're right, no one is a what. So why are you acting as though they called you something subhuman when they did not in fact call you anything?
You're saying that there is something subhuman, something not quite to the stage of humanity yet. Wink, streetcar named Desire. You are furthering this idea that this person is other because they're different. That they are not quite right. That's the problem with it.
No. When someone is saying, what are you? They are... Okay, look. Maybe English isn't your first language, so let me give you a quick primer on how language works. When someone is saying, what are you? What they are actually saying is, what race are you? Or, alternately, you can take it as, what denomination of human are you? What racial category do you belong to? What form of human are you? You see, in human language, some aspects are communicated through tone, facial features, or obvious intention. Nobody who hears that question actually thinks that someone is regarding another person as subhuman, because we have the basic communication skills to comprehend what is meant. Well, okay, apparently only most of us do, but you get my point. People that you know are only saying what are you as a shorthand of their questions, because Americans are, well, very lazy in their use of the language. Take the word color as an example. Americans spell color C-O-L-O-R, whereas the rest of the English-speaking world spells color C-O-L-O-U-R. This is because William the Conqueror conquered England and brought many of their French word spellings and pronunciations with them, and against a hard Celtic tongue, the word couleur got pronounced color. So most English speakers still use a U, whereas Americans dropped the U from the word and spell color C-O-L-O-R because Webster was a lazy fuck. And yes, I know I'm starting to sidetrack, but hey, it was more interesting than anything she's gonna say. My point is that this does not mean what you think it means. You're just an idiot. You might want to read a book that doesn't have little stick figure doodles in it once in a while.
You're so articulate. First of all, compared to what? If anyone heard me talking compared to like a beaver, yeah, I'm much more articulate than a beaver. But if you put me next to Emma Watson, I look like I'm a fool. That doesn't make any sense. You are assuming that people who look like me are inherently less intelligent. It is therefore a surprise when we speak eloquently and express ourselves clearly. That's a racial microaggression.
And that would be a non sequitur, since we're all getting our labeling up in this bitch. You realize that by that train of reasoning, any time that somebody praises you for a positive trait, it must necessarily be because they assume that your entire race lacks said trait. In other words, you are effectively rationalizing all compliments as being inherently racist. So does that mean that someone should insult you in order to compliment you and your race? Well, in that case, you are a fucking retard. I mean, I have seen some massive retards in my time, but you are the most epic. There are now whole planets of retards out there that are bowing to you and hailing you as the retardation messiah. Congratulations.
This is what's called a color blindness microaggression.
Okay, I want to know who the fuck named these microaggressions, because they clearly have far too much time on their hands.
I kind of talked about this in my last video. You're basically denying their personal identity or heritage and saying, assimilate, because what you are is wrong. Lord knows that makes sense.
Wait a minute. So now it's wrong for everyone to be considered basically human. Weren't you just a few minutes ago bitching because you thought that someone wasn't thinking of you as a human? Now the very implication that we are all equally human is setting you off? Oh, okay, I think I get it. We're all human, but some of us are more human, right? Or differently human. Can't argue with that. It's not like no one has ever used that kind of thinking to justify racism. Just, the Nazis, the KKK, the Maoists, the Stalinists, and pretty much every racist or supremacist group that has ever existed. But, who cares what they think? Do go on.
This happens all the time. It's called a criminality microaggression. The problem with this is that you are assuming that they are a criminal because of their skin color. That's literally all you're going on. You don't know their life. You don't know their story. In second grade, you guys, they said don't judge a book by its cover. Did we just forget that?
You don't actually know why they're clutching their purse. Maybe they do it for everyone that comes within a certain distance. Maybe they're simply trying to keep a grip because it's slipping. Perhaps they suffer from a condition of paranoia they can't control. You don't know anything about them or their life story. Maybe they were actually once mugged by a black man, and it's become an unconscious triggered reaction due to the trauma suffered. How dare you ignore their trauma? Didn't you learn in second grade not to judge a book by its cover? It's funny how a lot of this type of rhetoric easily works both ways, isn't it?
Because I think we did. Otherwise, nothing that's going on right now would even be an issue. I have black friends. What do you want, a cookie?
Who doesn't want a cookie? What, are you saying that wanting cookies is racist now? Cookie Monster's like Hitler to you? H is for Hitler, that's good enough for me. H is for Hitler, that's good enough for me.
Great, you have black friends. You are denying your involvement in race relations. It's called a denial microaggression. You seem to think that a black friend is a band-aid because you know someone who has dealt with oppression, that you are not involved.
Maybe because you are refusing to provide evidence of their involvement. Or maybe they are asking you to explain how, if they are racist, they have friends of the appropriate race. Since most black people are not drooling retards who hang around people that hate and oppress and constantly demean them. Seriously, do you really think that race relations looks like this?
Hey, you want I should dig up some bones for you? Anything you say, Spike? Because you and me is pals. That's right, ain't it, Spike? Hey, Spike, you want to play ball? Huh? You want to play ball? Huh, Spike? You want to? Huh, Spike? You want to? Huh? Nah, you wouldn't like that, would you, Spike? Hey, Spike, how about we chase cars, huh? Does that sound like fun? Nah. Yeah, that wouldn't be no fun.
Think about that for a second. That doesn't actually make sense if you actually think about it.
See, the reason that this doesn't make sense to you is because you have automatically tagged them as racist simply for being of a particular skin color. totally not racist on your part, by the way. So when they hold up evidence that they aren't racist, it misfires the synapses in your, well, we'll just call it a brain, and thereby causes the woodpecker to have to put in some massive overtime, hammering away at your reason centers.
You still are. If you are American, you are involved in race relations. That's just how it works. Welcome to America.
Because some retard on the internet said so. Crackerjack reasoning there.
You hear politicians say this all the time. I'm going to explain this the way I explained this to someone yesterday. Imagine you are sitting in a classroom. Your teacher puts a garbage can in front. There's a row of 4 desks, you're sitting in the back. Your teacher gives everyone a crumpled paper ball and says, whoever can make it into the basket gets an automatic A in this class. You're in the back. The chances of you getting your paper ball into the garbage can are much slimmer than someone who's in the front row. That's what privilege is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, now, I, personally, would just get up out of my seat, walk up to the basket, and toss it in. But, you know, I'm funny that way, I guess. By the way, you realizing your analogy that the people in the back row, they can still get an A in the class. They're just unlikely to get an automatic one. They would have to actually do the classwork and do it well, or practice hard on being able to make the basket in their off hours until they can do it easily from the greater distance. But still, they can still get an A. The teacher did not say that this is the only way to get an A, just that you would get an automatic A. So, they can still get the A, they just have to do the work. In other words, they can still get the A if they work hard enough at it, which is exactly the point you were trying to refute. So, good job?
Some people don't have the option of sitting in the front row of the class. So some people are never going to make it into that basket. When you say things like that, everyone can succeed if they work hard enough. You are enabling that system. Cut that shit out.
Now, technically, of course, you're right. There are certain hurdles that cannot be overcome just by working, but those are things that you can't really do anything about if you want a free and functioning society. If you try to put everyone on an equal field, you do no one any favors because the people who weren't going to work hard still won't, and the people who would work hard have no reason to. Not to mention the other problem with your position, which is that the only way to accomplish such is equality is via supremacy, which is why it never goes well when people attempt it.
You are saying that black is the ugly, and there must be something pretty that's making this ugly beautiful. That's what you're saying. I'm only pretty because I'm mixed with something that's not black? Ugh, that's offensive. If you don't get why that's offensive, you should go talk to somebody about that. I think there's help for that.
Okay. Elephant in the room, I'm just gonna come out right out and say it. Somehow, I don't think you have ever had anyone tell you that unironically. I mean, let's be honest here. But let's assume that we live in some parallel universe where this has in fact happened. How do you know that it is your blackness that they find the unattractive part? Maybe they hate white chicks. Speaking as a half and half myself, well, actually like a 1/5, 1/4, big fucking mix of shit. But speaking as someone who is partly black myself, I have met a lot of girls who dig black guys over white ones. Especially the big lips. They think it's, cushy when you kiss them. Like a lot of what you're saying here, this just reeks of that projection I mentioned earlier. It sounds more as though it's you who hates the fact that you're black, not everyone else. Perhaps that's due to the fact that you subscribe to an ideology that tells you that as a black person, society considers you less than desirable and hates you. I mean, think about it. Really think about it for a moment. Is it society that tells you you're subhuman, or is it your ideology? And then, is it telling you that only it can help make things better for you? Because this is generally how religions and cults control their followers. Just something to think about. Okay, back to making fun of you.
No, you can't touch my hair. You know those 5-year-old girls at the museums who just want to touch everything because they don't know any better? The 5-year-old girl pulling at her mommy's arm, Mommy, I want to go touch Sue the dinosaur. She goes up to this fantastical exhibit about things that are odd and different. That's who you sound like.
For a week now it has spread relentlessly, and it's stirring up memories of South Africa's bad old days. Riot vans, armed police, and the most brutal violence, as dozens of immigrants have been beaten, stoned or hacked to death in the townships around Johannesburg. But what has appalled people most here is the return of necklacing, victims burned alive with a flaming car tyre. This morning in a squatter camp we visited, the charred body of one poor soul lay where the mob had caught him. It's thought he was Zimbabwean. He had fled here to escape brutality at home. These people say the immigrants are taking their jobs, and if their government won't get rid of them, they'll do it themselves.
I'll kill them. I have something, I have a lot of problem. I'll kill them. If I can see a foreigner here, I'm sure I'll kill that foreigner.
Show me that. Show me what you got in your hand.
We'll kill them. How?
What are you going to do with that?
I'm going to stab him in the face.
The police cracked down on the mobs today, firing rubber bullets head high and hitting their targets. We saw 2 men clinging to life, having been felled by baton rounds. A week after this violence began, the police say they're now going to get tough, but many here believe they've lost control of this situation, and there are growing calls for troops to be deployed on these streets.
By the way, I am the exhibit that is odd and different in that scenario. I am not on display for you. I am not a toy. I am not an object. I am a person. I have hair. You do too. You are acting like my hair is some enigma, some supernatural thing. It's freaking hair. Everybody calm down. No, you can't touch my hair.
Yeah. So, don't let them touch your hair. I mean, I won't say this doesn't happen, because I know it does happen to me before, several times. But in those times when it has happened to me, it was always young children who wanted to do it, because they're curious about something that they're unfamiliar with, and well, black people are a minority, and young children don't understand the complexities of many social interactions. So they don't understand why someone might not want to be touched. But, and here's the important thing, you can just say no. And you can do it without being a whining fuck about it and making them feel bad and ashamed for being children. They have enough problems to overcome in their life with their drunk middle-class molesting parents without having some a prostitute like you making them feel like racist hate-mongers as well. And really, does it actually hurt you in any way to help them understand you? Try thinking about something beyond your own desires and experiences for a moment. I know it's hard, but it really can be done if you try.
This has been your sassy video about microaggressions. Hopefully, it gave you a little bit more clarification. If you disagree with me, let's talk about it. If you have an ignorant comment to make, don't waste your breath. Pay attention, be aware, know the world you live in. Have a good weekend.
So far, what I've come to understand is that it's wrong to treat someone as human, while also wrong to treat someone as inhuman. You can't ask about someone's heritage or culture, but it's wrong to ignore their heritage or culture. Everything is racist except when it's not. Insults are compliments, compliments are inherently racist, and you hate black people. Yep, I've got it. Thanks. Laters.